Before the break, Rhonda and I were talking with Pastor Julie about how she was dealing with a financial issue. Pastor Julie, how are you dealing with that?
Well, what ended up happening, Randy and Rhonda, was that I found myself, well, when I first went back to college, I was driving a bus, and I was also that varsity track coach. So I needed time blocks in order to do those jobs. Well, what happened was 3 years into my schooling, I couldn't get the time blocks anymore. So I had to get other jobs to try to make ends meet. And I found myself working like 5 part-time jobs, barely making ends meet. I was taking 19 credit hours at Purdue. I was on the dean's list, so I still was doing really good.
Wow.
And when I was in my backslid state, I'm backing up just a little bit, I had met an individual I started going out with that exposed me to strip clubs. And he'd taken me around to different clubs and planted, like, the enemy planted the seeds of the fantasy in my mind, the art of striptease, and boy, if I ever do it, that's where I'll work at. It was a club in Indianapolis, which was like 60 minutes away. Well, what happened was after the boyfriend was gone, and I'm faced with this financial, struggle with all the jobs and everything, I meet this girl at Purdue University who's driving to Indianapolis 3 nights a week, and she's working in the club that I had said, if I ever do it, that's the club I want to work at. Well, I went into work, they had overscheduled hostesses, they ended up sending me home, and when you're a college student, you're counting every single dollar. Yes. And I just thought that night, I thought, you know what? I know she's working, and I got on the interstate and I started driving down to Indianapolis, and I started rationalizing with God that it was just going to be a couple of years, it would be a stepping stone. It was a business decision, a minimum amount of time, a maximum amount of money. I wasn't going to get pulled in the lifestyle, and I promised him that once I got my degree that I'd rededicate my life. Now, what I did not anticipate was the effect that the sinful lifestyle was going to have on me, and the spiral effect that was going to happen with me engaging in such rebellion, really against God's will for my life. Even though I had noble goals to get the college degree, I found myself entrapped in this industry. It should have taken me 2 years to graduate, it took me another 4 years. I ended up transferring from Purdue University down to Indianapolis to Heron School of Art. And I ended up in an abusive relationship that I ended up, it's like my whole life just started falling apart. I ended up, doing drugs, ended up partying, and it took me 4 years to get that degree. But here's the deal, even after I got the degree, I was not able to get out of the industry. It was like I was so in bondage to the lifestyle.
So you were trapped in the industry.
Totally.
It basically had you, and you couldn't escape
Absolutely.
it. You didn't know where to turn at this point.
Right. Well, sin will always take you further than what you think it will, and it did. I thought I had my plan. I was going to work it out, but I ended up, I felt so trapped. And even after I got my degree and I even rededicated my life, I got involved with a local church, but I didn't want to tell anybody about my past. Even though God was telling me, I want you to be transparent, I was like, no, God, no, I don't want anybody to look at me and look at my past. I just want them to see me as a college graduate and a good Christian girl.
So we're thinking, we can do this, we can do it on our own, we'll only do it for a season, we'll make our money. But then, really, as we get further into this thing, into sin, so to speak, we start to spiral out of control.
Oh, out of control.
And it was about money.
It was about money. It was about money, and it was about survival.
Right.
It was about survival, and really it was about Julie trying to be in control, and the more that I tried to be in control, the more I was losing control of my life.
Now, what was your lowest point?
My lowest point started coming when the abusive relationship, like I said, I was doing the drugs, and I tried to commit suicide repeatedly. I actually ended up trying to commit suicide a total of 7 times because I just felt like I was hurting so bad, and I just felt like I had went so far that that God couldn't even take me back, and I felt like I was a waste to society. I felt like I was a burden to everybody. Nobody really cared, and that the world would be a better place. Obviously, that was a lie the enemy was telling me. But the cool thing is like the last time that I tried to commit suicide, I had OD'd, and every time I went to my Bible, and I'd cry out to God. I just wanted to. I wanted to go to sleep, and I wanted to wake up in Jesus' arms, and I didn't want to hurt no more. I had so much pain. I had so much shame. So much shame. The shame was it was overbearing. It was what it was. The decisions that I had made to try, I didn't want anybody to know about it and stuff. But as I was coming to, when the paramedics were carrying me out of the house, I heard the Lord say, I am not finished with you yet.
Awesome.
Wow, Julie. So when you were going through this whole process, did you want to escape? Did you want to get out?
Desperately.
But it was kind of like a tug of war because you know, you liked the money, you know, was it glamorous?
Well, now
Probably
you're
not.
trapped.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
trapped.
Okay, it was glamorous, and I call it like there's an empowerment stage in the beginning.
Right.
But even the first night I worked, I experienced abuse. You know, men saying things that were rude to you, touching you, grabbing you, and it's like you count your money at the end of the night, and you hold your head up high, and you justify that what you had to endure was okay. But what I didn't anticipate was I ended up being in the industry for 7 years, 3 years after I got my degree. I didn't anticipate like how it was going to wear down on me so much to the point where I didn't even want to go to work. Like I would just work just enough to make a basic car payment, you know, car insurance, get some groceries, and I would stretch it as far as possible.
Wow, so Julie, at this point, you know, your life seems to be hopeless. Like there's no hope.
I felt trapped, yeah.
You felt trapped. Folks, when we come back, we're going to learn how Julie was able to take herself out of this hopeless situation and turn it completely around.
This season, you have seen it on the Healing Today show.